It was supposed to be routine, a standard press conference on Capitol Hill. Karoline Leavitt, recently appointed as a White House communications advisor, was expected to speak on border policy and answer pre-screened questions from friendly outlets. The room was packed. Lights, cameras, a confident smile on her face. "We're here to bring transparency back to the American people," she began. Then it happened. A reporter in the back, not on the approved list, stood up without being called on. "Ms. Leavitt, can you clarify why your private texts from March 3rd mention burying the numbers before the midterm polling release?" The room fell dead silent. Karoline blinked. Once. Twice. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. The reporter repeated the question, louder this time. "Were you or were you not coordinating the delay of unfavorable immigration data with party operatives?" The cameras caught it, a visible twitch in her jaw. She reached for her water, but her hand shook slightly. Her aide stepped forward, whispering something in her ear. Karoline looked stunned, frozen, and the clip was already being uploaded before she ever responded. The fallout was immediate. By the time Karoline Leavitt was escorted off the podium, without ever answering the question, the footage had already gone viral. One clip, posted by an anonymous congressional intern, was captioned, "Caroline.exe has stopped responding." It hit 5 million views in under 3 hours. The press team scrambled. A spokesperson issued a short statement claiming Karoline was caught off guard by a breach of protocol and that the reporter's question was based on false premises. But that only fueled the fire. Within hours, screenshots began circulating online, supposedly showing the exact text messages referenced in the question. Unverified, but damning. One message read, "Hold off until Friday. The numbers will bury us if they drop this week." No names, no context, but the implication was explosive. Some conservative commentators rushed to her defense, calling it a hit job. Others stayed eerily silent. Meanwhile, progressive voices were salivating. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted, "If you're too scared to answer a question, maybe don't run for office." Karoline's office canceled all upcoming media appearances. Her X account went dark. No posts, no comments. But behind the scenes, sources say something even bigger was brewing. And Karoline wasn't the only one involved. As the media firestorm intensified, new leaks began dripping out, this time from inside the Department of Homeland Security. An anonymous whistleblower claimed the text messages weren't just real. They were part of a broader strategy coordinated between multiple GOP staffers to delay the release of immigration enforcement data until after the midterm elections. Karoline wasn't acting alone, the source alleged. There were meetings, calendars, memos. It wasn't a one-off message. It was a plan. By morning, cable news had dubbed it the Leavitt freeze scandal. The term trended #1 across X and TikTok. Fox News ran a full segment defending her. MSNBC brought on 2 former ethics investigators demanding an official probe. But the real bombshell dropped when a leaked internal RNC memo surfaced, one that referenced a Q2 blackout strategy tied to polling suppression and media timing. And Karoline Leavitt's initials were right at the top of the doc. Now, it wasn't just about her silence. It was about what that silence might have been hiding. Republican leadership held an emergency meeting. Reporters were kept out, but one aide overheard someone say, "If she goes down, she won't go quietly." Meanwhile, Karoline remained out of sight. No interviews, no public response. Until someone spotted her boarding a private jet out of D.C. And what happened next changed everything. The photo of Karoline Leavitt boarding a private jet hit the front page of The Hill by sunrise. No official destination listed, no comment from her team. But internet sleuths tracked the plane's tail number. It was headed to Palm Beach, Florida, a location that immediately raised eyebrows. Why? Because just 24 hours later, a closed-door meeting at Mar-a-Lago was confirmed by two separate sources. The guest list? Tightly guarded. But one name was whispered behind every door in Washington: Karoline Leavitt. Insiders claim she met directly with Donald Trump. One source leaked a chilling quote from that meeting. "They're turning you into a scapegoat. Don't let them. If you go down, you drag everyone with you." Suddenly, the tone shifted. Karoline's social accounts came back online, but they weren't defensive. They were aggressive. She posted a single statement: "If you want a war, you've got one," accompanied by a dramatic black and white photo of her walking past a mob of reporters, unfazed. Within minutes, the post racked up over 3 million likes and sent the media into overdrive. Was she threatening the GOP, the press, or someone else entirely? The silence was over, and Karoline Leavitt was back in control. Or so she thought, because the House Oversight Committee had just scheduled an emergency hearing, and Karoline had been subpoenaed. The subpoena hit Karoline Leavitt's D.C. office like a thunderclap. Signed by the House Oversight Committee and marked time-sensitive, it ordered her appearance for a closed-door deposition within 48 hours. The subject: alleged manipulation of federal data releases for political gain. Karoline's response? She walked straight into the lion's den, heels clicking through the marble halls of Capitol Hill with a smug half-smile and no legal team in sight. Cameras swarmed. One journalist shouted, "Karoline, will you cooperate with the investigation?" She paused, just for a second, then looked directly into the camera. "I don't run from questions. I just don't answer lies." And with that, she disappeared behind the heavy wooden doors of the hearing room. Inside, tensions were reportedly off the charts. Multiple sources say Karoline arrived with a flash drive, unprompted, and handed it to the committee chair with the words, "You want the truth? Here it is. But you better read all of it." The contents of that drive, still unknown. But what is known is this. Just 2 hours after that meeting ended, 3 GOP aides abruptly resigned, citing personal reasons. One of them was reportedly the original author of the now infamous Q2 blackout strategy memo. And it didn't stop there. Karoline left the hearing room and walked straight into a press conference, unannounced. No teleprompter, no aides, just a podium, a dozen microphones, and a fire in her eyes. She cleared her throat, took a breath, and stared down the crowd. "You tried to silence me. You tried to shame me. You leaked, twisted, and lied. But here I am, still standing, still speaking." The room held its breath. "And now? It's your turn to explain." She dropped the mic, literally, and walked off stage. Within 30 minutes, the clip was trending worldwide. Some called it the greatest political comeback since Watergate. Others said it was a meltdown disguised as defiance. But one thing was certain. Karoline Leavitt wasn't stunned anymore. She was swinging. It had been 72 hours since Karoline Leavitt's fiery press conference, and Washington still hadn't caught its breath. Pundits were scrambling to reframe the narrative. Was she a rogue operative? A scapegoat? A political martyr? But behind the chaos, something darker was unfolding. Late that night, an anonymous Dropbox link was sent to 3 major news outlets. all from different sources, all containing the same explosive file, a 38-page email thread between Karoline, two senior party strategists, and a private analytics firm. Subject line: Strategy, Voter Optics versus Raw Data. In the emails, they discuss delaying data, manipulating press language, and even rotating narratives to counteract unfavorable immigration stats. One line stood out: "We can't win on the numbers, so bury them in noise." Karoline's name was all over it. The story broke at 6:17 a.m. Within minutes, major outlets were calling for her immediate resignation and for the Department of Justice to open a formal investigation. By noon, Karoline issued a statement: "I am not resigning. I will not be intimidated. And I refuse to take the fall for decisions made far above my pay grade." The implication was clear: she wasn't acting alone. And if they wanted to push her out, she was prepared to bring everyone down with her. Later that day, her former chief of staff tweeted, then deleted, a single sentence: "If Karoline talks, 5 careers are over." The political world held its breath. And then, one final twist. That evening, Karoline's attorney delivered a sealed packet to the Speaker of the House. Sources say it contains names, dates, and evidence, enough to trigger a full congressional inquiry. Whether she was bluffing or not, one thing was certain: Karoline Leavitt was no longer cornered. She was armed,